Did you guys pay attention? Did you find out who the online store was that Dave, the former roommate, was buying his shit from? Because if you know, get in touch with us. $25 for Carrie's store. The Art of Divination is all yours.
That's right.
So yeah, if you guys are ever back in town soon, hopefully,
Fingers crossed.
check out that store. It's super fucking cool and sounds like it's right up your alley.
Yeah.
We love witchy.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's witchy, all
We're
right.
weird dudes. We get it.
Yeah. We're all weird dudes, Kim. And I think
True.
that's why, again, that you guys are so approachable, so relatable, and your music kicks so much ass. And that kind of leads me to a question that I wanted to ask early in the show, and
We didn't shut up long enough for you to ask it.
No, the more you talk, the less I have to. That's the goal here. Would you
That's
kill
the
that for
goal,
me?
Tammy.
My question is with punk being such already an aggressive form of expression, do you guys find that with being female punks that you have to try a little harder, or are you guys just naturally this badass?
Well, I mean, it seems like either answer is the wrong answer.
You can each take one.
Okay.
It all balances out.
I think for me, being at least now in this band, I think it's been so long that this band is like a really big part of my identity, and so it's a comfort space for me. I think when of course I'm always in this band, but when I'm, like we talked about, touring or recording or playing or hanging out with my bandmates, I think for me, I'm the most me that I am. And I don't know if that's just like Stockholm syndrome, because it's been like 10, 12 years now.
Right.
But I think I know this is very different for you, but I love being on stage. It's my happy place. It's what makes me feel alive. It's what makes me happy. Like, it is what I live for, is for whatever that is, I love performing. I think I'm my best self when I'm, really active in this band and really, productive.
Might I speak to that for a moment, Kim?
Yeah,
because I've recently, had the opportunity to start doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I have felt more like myself than I ever have, maybe, because I've known who Jeff is. I can be him now.
Yeah.
And it's fucking weird.
Yeah. And not to like do the whole fucking cliche, like, well, when you get a little bit older, but there's
when you
something
get a little older
to be said to that, it's like spend a lot of years doing this, and I think there's a point where you're just like, fuck it, I'm not gonna put it on. Like, this is how I look, this is how I act, like, and of course you always try to be the best version of yourself, and God knows I haven't always been that, and there's there's been a lot of ups and downs in this band and a lot of really hard times, but I think the beautiful thing about the fact that this band has existed for so long is that we've always we've always come out the other side a little bit better, than we were. Whether that's creatively or musically or personally. I think, when I'm with Dave and Katie, it's like they push me to be the best version of myself. And I'm someone that really needs that in my life. Like, I am someone who needs people.
Reassurance?
No, I don't think it's the reassurance. I think it's like I need people who are like being really good themselves,
like optimistic and motivated, so that you feel also happy and want to do your own thing.
But like creatively, I think it's more like when when Katie's like, oh, I wrote this riff, or like I wrote this thing, and then I hear it and I'm like thinking about what I'm gonna like write to it, or like what I'm gonna sing to it. Like, it makes me my best self to be able to contribute to these things, like that's my happy place. So having people around me that are really creative, that I love, but also push me to be better creatively, like that's what I need as an artist. I'm not someone who can just sit you know, in my studio alone.
You're not Kanye, Kim.
Yeah, exactly. Thankfully. But you know what I mean? I've never done like a musical project alone. I've always worked with someone, you know, and I that's just how I work. So
Hear, hear.
that's, yeah.
I'll bounce the same question off of you. Have you found that you had to try harder, or does it just come naturally? And I think, to be fair, it does with this group.
Yeah.
But maybe Milk Mustache or something like that. Have you ever felt that you needed to try harder, or does your badassery come
Like
naturally?
because of being female, you mean?
Right, because with punk being such an overly, well, not
Sorry,
overly,
I
but
strayed so
aggressive.
far away from that question.
It's
I'm
Whatever,
so
dude.
sorry.
Respect.
Whatever.
you
That's
two.
what happens here. This is jam sessions, jaw sessions, buddy.
I actually forgot what the question
I
was.
think that I've been kind of like naively unaware for so long because it's like I've kind of always existed as this like gay woman that's in like predominantly male spaces.
Right.
That,
Like punk music. Because
Yeah.
for me,
Or
when a
skateboarding.
or
Yeah.
Right,
skateboarding,
because
or
for
you
me,
know,
when a punk band has a female singer or a female presence, it makes it more angry, more dangerous, more real, more punk. Maybe it's just me being a dad of daughters or whatever it is, but when dudes
You
are
feel
angry,
something when you
it's
see
like
that, yeah.
whatever, fucking
yeah, they're
calm down,
always
chief.
angry.
Yeah.
But when
Yeah.
when a woman is angry, it's a different thing.
Which like I think is kind of like what I was thinking about when you like pose that question, which is I think that I've been like a little bit naive about it for a while, where it's like I get these reactions to like how I live or how
Sure.
I encounter music or how I act on stage that to me seem like almost extreme, where I'm like, well, I'm just doing the same thing that like
Right, I'm just
or
doing what feels
lesser
good.
than like a lot
Yeah.
of guys are doing, but like yeah, it's just like it's this thing where it's like I am kind of only ever aware of my presence because of the ways that people comment on it,
Right.
Sure.
which like almost makes me, you know, I ask him, he's like, I can never accept a compliment, so it just kind of almost makes me be like, ugh, like, oh,
That's true.
am
She
I
is
different?
really bad at
Thanks for
accepting
pointing it
compliments.
out, asshole.
Yeah, but it's like it's also great. It's like in the same tune of the conversation we had earlier, where it's like now as a woman that's like getting older, you know, I'm 32. It's like I'm starting to be able to realize that if I saw a young woman like I was like 8 years ago doing that, I would probably bombard them as well and be like, "You're doing this crazy," you know. But for me, I'm just like, well, this is just
This is
how
what
I
I've
am
always done,
and
yeah.
how I exist.
Sure.
Which like. Yeah, I guess to answer your question, it's like I'm kind of only ever aware of like that presence or space we take up when other people comment on it.
And
I
that kind of
guess.
goes
Yeah.
back to when we were talking about earlier when I was talking about identity of the band. And even though I would consider myself very open-minded and that I'm not even considering that,
Yeah.
I still acknowledge that I call you a girl punk band. And I'm like, why am I doing that? But I think subconsciously it kind of gets back to what Jeff's asking, is that when I'm describing you to somebody, if I say girl punk band instead of punk band, they get a different vibe in their head right away.
Well, also, I
Yeah.
feel like you're like attributing value to that, whereas like,
yeah,
you know,
it's,
maybe that wasn't always the case. Where
Yeah.
it's like,
Exactly.
I've definitely been in a scenario where, you know, I remember walking into a bar one day and overhearing someone talking about us and talking about Michelle specifically and being like, yeah, she's just this tiny girl back there playing drums and wailing. And at the time, Michelle was like 28. And I was like, I don't like that.
yeah.
But now I'm like, no, but that's like, yeah. It's like, it's a thing that like, yeah, we push back against for so long. But I'm like, no, that does make us really unique. And like, of course it makes someone like you want to like, you know, not to... like maybe this is problematic language, but like vouch for us and be like,
Yeah.
you know, here is this fucking
Right.
chick band that's killing it. And even though like we had feelings about that for a while, it's like that those feelings were instilled by like sexism and you know
Yeah.
a million other things where it's like we were made to feel
Unknown
internally
personal
Yeah.
about
biases, you mean?
something.
And
Yeah,
Because
and
that's
like,
something that I've been
those
learning a lot about
feelings
lately.
also were a
feel you.
defense mechanism because we, you know, when we first started the band, especially like even when you were still in it, it's like we were fighting our way through a male dominated scene more or less,
Sure.
where we're proving like we played a show once in Toronto and we opened for this band, and you know I was told that I could use the opening band's back line, And when I got there and the guy realized that I was a girl, he like got all weird with me about using his bass amp, and he was like, "Oh, you do this and that, blah blah blah." He's like, "Show me how it's done." He's like, "I don't know."
Mansplaining.
Like, okay, He was like, "I'll let you sound check with it."
Yeah.
So we sound checked.
This is the story of our lives.
And
is
then-
the sound check.
So we sound check, and then the guy comes up to me. He's like, "Oh my god, yeah, like you're great. Like this is great. Yeah." He's like, "You can use whatever you want. Yeah, like this is cool. Like you're doing so good." And he just
You
like
had to gain
fucking
the
sucked my
credibility.
dick after he realized that I could
But
play
that is
my
our,
instrument.
that is
You know
our
what I mean?
experience so many times, and this is why I talk about how it's important for us to not like, you know, even though we can occupy male dominated zones and get along, because we're just like, well, fuck you, dude, or
Not
whatever. and we can bust
occupy.
people's balls.
KT, let me cut you off. Not occupy,
out.
bud. Dominate.
We
Nice.
love to hear it.
Fuck that. Not occupy,
but
bud.
you know, it's
come in and you fucking own it.
Yeah,
But
and
it's like
that's
we
like
can kind of float around in those
Yeah.
zones a little easier, I feel like. And I don't know why, but we can, and like I feel like it is still important to like address the fact that like almost every show we show up to, if we don't know the sound guy, they are a dick to us until we finish our sound check, and then they are, as Kim put it, which I wouldn't have maybe necessarily put it, sucking our dicks.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, why don't we just walk into
Yeah.
a venue and you're nice right away?
Yeah, why
Yeah.
don't you
And,
be
like-
mean to us once you see that we suck instead of like, you know, just assuming that because we look a certain way.
You know what I say to those guys? Fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
We
think
say,
that's like
"Suck
what,
my
a little
dick."
bit of our initial like, you know, just wanting to be represented as, you know, a punk band and like just represented as a good band basically. Like that's where a lot of that comes from, you know? Like
Yeah.
kind of having to sort of like go against the grain.
It's
for so
2021.
long.
Gender
Yeah.
is such a fucking 1990 thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
But
know?
also, like, you know, at the same time, acknowledging that, like, you shouldn't have to get up on stage as a woman and be like a beer spitting fucking lunatic to get respect. Like, you
Exactly.
should be
Yeah.
able to
Right.
get up there with
Amen.
your acoustic guitar too and be a songwriter and not have
Yeah.
a sound guy be
Or-
a weird fucking prick to
or a
you,
pop
or like
singer
hit on
singing
you
to 808s.
afterwards, or
Totally.
yeah, it's like
Would
Yeah.
would I be disappointed to hear that Nova Scotia is just the same as everywhere else, or are we any more tolerant of it? It's just I'm
I
thinking
think it's
Plumtree
different
jail
for
like,
us though,
there's
because like
frustration.
this is our scene and we've
Right.
like we have really close connections
Mad
with you know,
respect here.
sound guys
Yeah.
and stuff. So I think here it's different because it was quick. You know, we played a few shows and like a Motorcycle became kind of a little bit of an underground like
Cult.
yeah in Halifax like pretty quickly, and so we had a lot of. Not a lot, but
Yeah.
like we had some respect and people kind of knew who we were, and it happened pretty quickly, and that was just lucky. But yeah, I think that if we were a band that came to Halifax from somewhere else, I don't doubt that we would have received some
no,
of the
we've had
same.
experiences where we've been on the road and we've had our own sound guy, because every touring band
Yeah.
that is doing the right thing has their own sound guy, and we've gotten to venues where they tried to like tell us we couldn't use our own sound guy and like shit like that. We're just like, actually, you can go fuck yourself, and
Yeah.
we will
Just
be,
take the
because he's
night
gonna do a
off.
better job than you.
Yeah.
Or like,
Yeah.
you know, just like weird shit like that, where it's like, you know, I do want to acknowledge that the fact that just because we're outspoken like pricks, we do kind of get the respect that like, you know, people, you know, even partners I've had that are like female musicians, like don't necessarily get the same thing. Like that's a fucking problem. Like you shouldn't have to be a hard-nosed prick to be able to just have be given the
Credibility.
respect
Totally,
Right.
yeah.
or whatever, which is like, yeah, some sound guys are a fucking problem. But yeah, I don't know if I personally, to answer your question, I don't know if we've personally like, yeah, we've obviously had shitty stuff happen to us, but I feel like at the end of the day, we just chalk it up to like, that guy's a dick, maybe not a sexist, but a lot of the time, yeah, probably.
It
But also,
is.
we
Yeah.
don't care because fuck you piece of shit, you're a dick. You know,
Yeah.
like, but
Slow
also
clap.
realizing that
Fuck
other
yeah.
people have to deal with that regardless, and maybe don't walk away and just like, you know,
Yeah.
be like,
We're-
fuck you, prick,
we
and
walk
drink
away
whiskey
pretty
afterwards.
unscathed from like,
Yeah, we're
everything,
just like,
you
whatever.
know? We're just like whatever, like
Yeah.
you
Go
know.
home to your fucking mom's basement,
Yeah.
you loser.
Yeah.
You know, but
PS.
like, you know, not everyone has that
whoa.
experience.
Slow your
Yeah.
roll there.
Listen,
Some
I lived in my mom's
basements
basement
are really
for a
Some
nice.
long
moms
time.
and some basements
Yeah.
are okay,
it's
but
true.
those guys, no.
Yeah.
So, kind of a flip side of that, and actually, there was one more question from Mandy that I'm trying to
Oh, yeah.
work in there, but
Trying
it does work
be
in
the
there
keyword.
perfectly.
Yeah.
This one's for you, Mandy.
Have you met anyone that you were disappointed because you were they were already an
Oh,
idol,
wow,
and
this is
is
such a
the
good
song
question.
Idols about that? Meeting someone and realizing that it was more of a
Mandy.
disappointment.
Mandy, yeah, that is a good
Yeah.
question, Mandy. You are coming through. Wow.
She's earning that
I
sweater.
mean,
You guys hear the fireworks outside just now?
No.
That
wow,
is
for us, they're
timely.
putting on a show.
Wow, thank you so much, New Glasgow.
I think Idols, that was a song I wrote, and we were writing it. There was a lot going on politically at the time, and yes, some of it was kind of about Kavanaugh being elected to the Supreme Court, but a lot of that song, and I don't think it'll ever shoot us in the foot because I would never tour with them, but it's about Jesse Hughes from Eagles of Death Metal and Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age, and just seeing tons of our fucking idols like Bowie and fucking other people just being accused of things, and just
But not even accused of things. Seeing Josh kick a
a
photographer
woman in the
face,
face, or seeing
like
Josh
things that
Homme
we're
being
having.
a fucking xenophobe and stuff like that, where it's just seeing power abuses from literally our idols, you know?
The people that you hold up so high. and
Yeah,
all
the
of a sudden
people
it
that
turns
my
out that they
entire
actually live
life I
down
would
there.
fucking kiss boots to be opening for.
Yeah.
And then just realizing that there's a big separation between art and humanity,
You're here.
and just
And reality and
Yeah.
all that.
Exactly. Yeah.
and fuck Bob Dylan the other day. I was just Bob Dylan,
Bobby,
are
no.
you kidding me? What do you mean? But just this type of shit where it's again, it's we're not gonna sit here and be, call shots on what happened or what didn't happen, but just the idea of people just being able to abuse power and abuse power and abuse power, and I feel
And getting too comfortable, in their shoes, people just reach this point of well, whatever I do, flies, this doesn't apply to me anymore. Being an asshole is part of my persona, and it's fine.
Kind of lose your grounding of just being a person when you're
Totally,
at a certain
exactly,
level.
yeah.
And I understand that, and I understand, not everyone's their best in certain relationships, but I feel when it comes to being a racist or a fucking full-blown fucking pedophile,
Fuck you. You
Yeah.
deserve to die.
Just the basics, man.
and how much it sucks to figure
Because
those things
being
out.
a
and
human
how,
takes a lot of humanity.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard for everyone, but there's just some things, there's just a few things, just try to do those big things, you know, that
Be a goddamn normal person.
yeah.
and then also navigating that space too, because it's would we want to tour with Eagles of Death Metal? Absolutely, but fucking no way, because you're
Yeah.
assholes, even though we love your music. Or even fucking Death from Above. One of those dudes was outed as a Proud Boy years ago. Do I love Death from Above? Absolutely.
I just heard that
Absolutely.
recently.
tell me.
I
Death from
love
Above
their music.
1979, right?
I
Yeah.
love their
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
Would I want to go
We
on
don't-
tour with them?
We're not going to talk
No.
about that later because
Well, yeah, it's
Disappointed
it's the
too.
age-old question.
Fuck.
It's do you separate the person from the art, And I know we've been talking about this for years, even before, Me Too and
R.
all these
Kelly.
things.
Yeah,
But yeah,
right?
but we've been talking about
We
it for
love
so
that opera.
long. But what is the answer, and where do we lie? Where do we draw the line?
Right.
What
The
all these
line
questions,
can
To the point
the
that,
question,
and
right.
we're not going to talk about it in this moment because we are running out of time. But, to the point that, we've made changes in our own bands because of things like this.
Yeah.
And, I think at the end of the day, it just sucks to know that everyone's not living in the same house. And it really sucks to know that someone can make art that you really resonate with and then,
Yeah, because you almost, it's kind of like I said with researching for this, is that I feel like I know you guys and you're exactly the way I thought you were going to be, which I'm very happy to
I
see
love
happen.
that.
But,
That's
Yeah,
a great
but I know what you
compliment.
mean.
Yeah.
Sometimes you build up that expectation. You kind of have a
Yeah.
vision of who this person is. And then when they're not who you thought, there's a disappointment that has nothing to do with
Yeah.
them.
Kick in the dick.
They were
But,
always
yeah.
that person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you have aligned yourself
Yeah.
with their creative process in such a way that you've created your own narrative. You hear this song and you're you could be writing about anything. It's in the same way I could be the other day I was fucking hanging out with my downstairs roommate. her dog, and I'm writing a song, and then after about the dog, I'm singing to the fucking dog, and then afterwards I'm like, this sounds like a song about like this dog being a woman that has an abusive boyfriend or something. And I'm like, I'm just writing about this dog. But in the same way that like anything can resonate with someone, and then like when you face the facts that like, oh, this person's actually a human that does a lot of harm to people and has like this power to do such, it's like, you know, we can only do so much as human beings, but sitting here with 3 men that have daughters, you know, it's like,
They highly look up to you
but
guys,
then
by
it's
the
also,
way.
you know, a lot of these
But,
people
like-
we're talking about, they also have daughters.
yeah,
and,
but
you
like
know,
have
it's
been
like-
Right.
horrible people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you
It's-
wonder where does that? How do they balance that in their own mind, right?
But
Well, I'm
it's
sure
true,
they don't.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I think it's just some people. I think when I think about this situation, there's people who change and grow and try to do
yes.
better,
And,
and
I
there's
don't believe
people
in canceling everyone. I
No,
believe
and there's
in
people who
giving
don't,
people a chance
you
to do
know?
better.
like I think there's tons of people who've done shady things in the past, to put it lightly, and you know, they've acknowledged them and they've moved forward, and
All 5 of
not
us have
for-
fucked up,
Oh my
Kim.
god, I am
Including
from Cape Breton
myself,
Island.
you
Like,
know, yeah.
I remember being a child on a fucking playground being like, wait, what is the thing I'm supposed to say? Gay women are fine, but gay men are gross? Or is it gay men are fine, but gay women are gross? Like, just like the
Right.
fucking shit that was
Yeah.
just pounded in my head from my crazy ass parents. And it's like, I have so much space for people who come from like problematic places, who
Yeah.
don't have the right ideas, that have the right hearts.
In my
Like,
experience,
Exactly.
when
KT,
you-
it's just the humans are gross.
Totally. But then when you like, when I feel like the difference is, you know, when people get to this level and they have the education and they have
Yeah.
the experience, they have like friends of color, they have friends that are gay, they have, and they still choose to do these problematic things, like, you lose
and
me then.
publicists who say
You
don't
lose me
do
then.
that, and you still do it.
Yeah, it's like, I just like, it's hard to have respect
Yeah.
for people that have every fucking chance
Mm-hmm.
to just be, yeah, like exactly what you said, to be human.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like that's a tough thing, and I do have empathy for people that probably, you know, have been so famous that they somehow lose that. I think I have empathy for it, but I still like, I don't know how or why we're supposed to tolerate it, and like
Yeah.
With
moving
love.
forward as like
Love and
Yeah.
toleration, or toleration. Ugh, the beer's
toleration,
hitting.
whatever, we'll
I
take
like
it.
it. I like
We'll
it.
take
Yeah.
it.
It's what do you tolerate? You know, because I can understand compassion and love and understanding and tolerating, but where, again, like both of you said, where's that line?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And like I go back to this time and time again, because it's like, you know, not to talk shit on Cape Breton, because I would never, because most of the people that I love the most live there, but it's like, I do feel like oftentimes when I'm dealing with people from home, their hearts are always in the right place, but they just don't have a lot of exposure. So like,
Right.
I will hear someone at home say something that is incredibly problematic, and I'm like, yeah, but if that person was in the same room as you, you would give them the shirt off your back. Like, I know you would. You just don't have the exposure.
Right.
I know that you're kind people.
You've never
but
had
when
to
I
make
see
that
people
choice.
that are like
Exactly.
very educated, well-traveled, intelligent, famous people acting in ways because they've just been protected by like this weird environment,
Exactly.
I have a lot more trouble accepting that, because it's not socioeconomic like circumstances that have led you to not being able to see outside that realm, and it's like, it's privilege.
Yeah.
And it's ignorance,
It's
and
privilege
like,
that you're choosing to use as a shield, you know, to grow and be better.
Yeah.
And that's the
it's
problem.
like it's not that you have never met an Indian family and been like, oh, okay, customs are different. You're just a fucking bigot.
Yeah.
And like, there's a difference in that than like being ignorant and
Yeah.
being willfully ignorant and being willfully judgmental. And this sounds like a really dark note to end this
Yeah.
podcast.
No, this is a really
So
great
be
fucking
fucking
message.
better.
I give
Be
her-
fucking better,
Yeah.
Kim. Say it a little
Yeah.
louder for the people in the back.
Be fucking better.
You're
Just
goddamn
a little
right.
bit.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
So let's lighten it up. What's
Yeah.
next for Lamb?
Oh,
What's
who
next for
fucking
Like a
knows?
Motorcycle?
Yeah. Hopefully playing shows, and you know, we're writing, you know, that's
are
the one
writing a
thing
new
we've been
album.
able to do
Yeah.
right now. So we're writing new songs, And we hopefully have a really cool cover coming out. Hopefully in the next
We
few
won't
weeks.
tell you what it is.
We're not.
And
telling
even
you
if
what
we
it
did,
is.
you
You
probably
wouldn't
wouldn't
know
know it.
I wanna know if does it sound like the original, or did you do your own take on
We
it?
did our own take.
That's all right. Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm
We'll
very
show you
excited.
after this once
Yeah.
the
Awesome.
audio is
Ooh,
not
I'll show you
public.
guys some unmixed tracks as well
Ooh,
if you
all
got
right,
some
bring it.
time.
Yeah,
Awesome.
we love it.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, what an amazing 2 hours that we just spent
2
together.
hours.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you guys just have officially broke the
The
summer
liquor
camp
store
record.
closed. You kept
This-
us here past the liquor store closed.
That's all right. We get a table
Oh, it's
booked at the
still open
spot.
here.
We'll head there next. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to take the time to thank our guests this week. Kim, KT from LAM, like a motorcycle. Guys, it's been a fucking blast getting to know you, and I can't wait to see
Likewise.
what comes next out of your guys' camp for sure.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much
Thanks
for having us. Yeah,
This is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am Kimberly Carson.
And I'm KT Lamon.
From what band?
Like,
Like a bicycle.
yeah,
With an engine.
that's right.
Right here.
Scooter Town,
On Jam
USA.
Sessions.